Okay, we're going to bring this meeting back to order.
Good evening. Welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public meetings. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch and participate in county commissioner meetings. Citizens may watch our meeting live on our website at qac.org/live or our public access governmental television channel provided by BreezeLine Cable Services. Citizens may also participate by joining the live Zoom meeting by going to qac.org/public comment. Citizens may also email comments to publiccomment@qac.org. All comments received this evening will be summarized during the press and public comment period on tonight's agenda. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you do care to speak, please sign up the information table in our lobby. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Jim Moran.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Commissioners, that brings us to the approval of tonight's agenda. So our agenda for today's meeting, August 13th, along with the regular session minutes, the closed session minutes from the last meeting on July 23rd, have all been distributed for review. Any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve the agenda submitted in minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. So we just held a closed session under the General Provisions Article, Section 3305B1, to discuss boards and commissions and personnel. And I think we do have a couple of board appointments to make. First, we had the Historic Stevensville A&E Advisory Board.
I move to appoint Matthew McCormick to the Historic Stevensville Arts and Entertainment Advisory Board. This term will expire July 31st, 2025. I also move to reappoint Karen Williams, Rebecca Jones, Nancy Cook, and Jessica Dolbeck. These terms will expire July 31st, 2026. And I also move to reappoint Paul Pleck. This term will expire July 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And we were going to address the stipend for the Animal Control Commission.
I move to increase the Animal Control Commission annual stipend to $2,500 for the chairperson and $2,000 for members annually.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, Commissioners, thank you very much. That brings us to the press and public comments. So we appreciate all citizens for taking time to express views to the County Commissioners.
You don't have any.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing. This commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely. Come forward, please speak clearly at the standing microphone that will be provided. State your name, your address, and your topic of interest, and in keeping with the dignity of our office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner. Nobody signed up?
No one that signed up. Would anybody like to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll close press and public comment.
All right. Okay, moving right along, we have several presentations here up next. So if you want to turn to tab number 6 in your books, item 1 on pages 1 through 14. First up, we have Mr. Christopher Pupke. He's going to present on the United States Colored Troops Monument proposal, and he is here. There's a presentation on the screen, and I believe we have some visual aids here as well. So, Pupke, please come up. Yeah.
Did you bring anybody with you?
Yes.
If we've got room.
Anybody? Yeah, come on up, folks. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I could have led you astray.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Mind introducing everybody? And
Absolutely. My name is Chris Pupke.
Jim Barnett from the Veterans Group.
Hillman Hemsley, artist, fisherman.
I'm Marcia Lansbutter. I work with Captain Tillman as a mate and as his assistant on his art projects.
And I'll lead the presentation this evening on the United States Colored Troops. I'm a past president of the Queen Anne's County Historical Society and currently a member of the advisory board at Kennard African American Cultural and Heritage Society. The United States Colored Troops are the free and enslaved African Americans who fought in the Union Army during the Civil War. There are more than 435 of them that we've identified from Queen Anne's County, from Centerville, from Sudlersville, from Kent Island, Sharktown to Beaver Dam, all over the county. We can document these individuals from Maryland State Archive records, National Archives, and deeds of manumission that were recorded right here at our circuit court in Centerville. Those deeds are the record that show that these individuals have been freed from slavery, freed from bondage. We're going to focus on 3 different regiments this evening that served the United States and the Union Army, and these veterans that served in those regiments and their heroism throughout the Civil War. Starting with the 39th, they were organized in March of 1864, more than 120 men from Queen Anne's County. They fought at the Battle of the Crater on July 30th, 1864. We'll come back to that in a moment. And at the end of the war, they reinforced General Sherman's troops to capture General Johnston's troops to help end the war. A lot of people think of Lee surrendering to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse as the end of the war, but there was still a Confederate army out there for a few weeks afterwards. And so they were there at that moment to help end the war. We have a great photograph at the Library of Congress of the field staff of the 39th Regiment USCT. And you can see the gentlemen up front, they're all white. Those are the field staff. Those are the commissioned officers. The man in the middle, sitting in the middle, is Colonel William Birney, an Alabaman who came here to Queen Anne's County to help recruit some of these former slaves to help them fight for the Union Army. The gentlemen in the back are some of the USCT. If you look closely, you can count up to 6 individuals back there. Perhaps one of them is one of our veterans from Queen Anne's County, one of our heroes from Queen Anne's County. 19th USCT Regiment was organized in December of 1863. We've got more than 140 men from Queen Anne's County who served in that regiment. They were active in the Overland Campaign. This is when Grant and Lee went head-to-head. Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse, Battle of the Wilderness, Battle of Cold Harbor. Again, they were prominent in the Battle of the Crater on July 30th, 1864, and they were among the first troops to enter Richmond at the end of the war before Lee even surrendered. They helped occupy the former Confederate capital. One of those individuals who served in the 19th Regiment was Sergeant James Bond. He was in Company C, enslaved here in Centerville by Dr. James Boardley, enlisted in December of 1863, immediately made a sergeant. He had some talent, and that was evident immediately. If we read his military service record, we'll see his name up top. We'll see his age at 24 years old, complexion mulatto. Take a moment to consider the implications of that. Where was he born? Queen Anne's County, Maryland. Where did he enlist? Queen Anne's County, Maryland. Unfortunately for Sergeant Bond, he saw the worst that humanity has to offer. Killed in action July 30th, 1864, at the Battle of the Mine. The Battle of the Mine is also known as the Battle of the Crater. This is a situation where Grant was trying to get into Richmond and Lee put up a defensive measure in Petersburg. And some Pennsylvania soldiers noticed that the high ground that the Confederate line occupied was very vulnerable to an attack from below. They were miners. Dug a mine, blew up the mine, and created a big gap. The USCT soldiers had trained for weeks to exploit that gap. They were to go immediately, and they were to go around the hole that was created by the gap, right? So they were to move immediately and go around. The night before the mine was to be exploded, General Grant took the USCT soldiers off of that role and gave them a secondary role and put in some untrained soldiers to take the fight to the initial wave. The USCT soldiers were lined up about a mile back in the rear to provide support if needed. The mine goes off at 4:41 a.m. and nothing happens. And they wait. Go immediately, go around. Nothing happens. The USCT soldiers sitting back about a mile know within a few minutes that the initiative is lost. The surprise has been lost, and the Confederates under Robert E. Lee are filling the gap. But they stand there in reserve. These heroes stand there in reserve, ready to do their duty, to honor their oath to this country. By the time they were sent in, the troops had not only waited too long, but they went into the crater, which became like a shooting fish in a barrel situation. They did their best. They were brave in their fight, and unfortunately for them, they paid a dear price. There were several opportunities from some of the Confederate troops to slaughter USCT, including perhaps Mr. Bond from Centerville here. Typical war-to-wounded ratio during the Civil War was 4.8 to 1, so almost 5 to 1. At the Battle of the Crater, it was almost 2 to 1. We're missing 3 wounded for every dead. Where were they? What happened to them? They were slaughtered. And troops from the Confederate Army bragged about this in letters home, so we know that it happened. The last regiment we'll talk about is the 7th USCT, again recruited from Maryland in the fall of 1863. We can document more than 125 men from Queen Anne's County. They were trained in Charles County, Maryland. They fought on the barrier islands from Hilton Head to Jacksonville and at the Battle of Chaffin's Farm. Now those barrier islands, you know these men were brave if they're fighting there. If you've ever walked the beach, consider walking that beach under artillery and under gunfire. If you've seen the movie Glory with Denzel Washington, it's that kind of fight. During the war, they were reviewed by Ulysses S. Grant and President Lincoln. I'm going to take a moment to talk about September 29, 1864, and the Battle of Chaffin's Farm. The goal in this instant, again, Grant wanted to take Richmond, and Lee was trying to prevent him. Fort Gilmer prevented a major obstacle, and 2 regiments of about 1,400 men were sent to capture the fort, but they failed to carry it. But as one observer said, the U.S. military, never tiring of a bad idea, decided to try again. And they sent, in this instance, 4 companies from the 7th USCT to charge the fort. That included companies C, D, G, and K of the 7th Regiment, comprising about 250 men. Now, do the math. 1,400 men couldn't cross this killing field to take the fort. What do we think is going to happen to the 250 men that are now sent forward? Companies C and D, in particular, included 31 soldiers from Queen Anne's County. This is the report from Colonel Shaw the following day to his superiors about what happened at Fort Gilmer. The companies C, D, G, and K proceeded steadily to the front under a heavy fire of artillery, and as they approached the works, charged into the very trenches, but were unable to get further. Not a man faltered. All who did not fall reached the work, charged boldly, and did all in their power to take it. Incredible bravery. And what happened to these veterans, to these heroes? Colonel Shaw concludes they are all missing. I mentioned 31 individuals from Queen Anne's County in companies C and D. 8 were killed in action that day. 7 were wounded in action. 3 of them died of their wounds. 13 were captured and taken as prisoners of war. 9 of those 13 died in Salisbury, North Carolina, as POWs. My records indicate only 3 from Queen Anne's County that made that charge made it back. Casualty rate of 90%. When Colonel Shaw says they are all missing, they are all missing. And these men are heroes, and they deserve to be recognized. None other than Abraham Lincoln. National Park Service cites him with saying, "Without the military help of the black freedmen, the war against the South could not have been won." These men have been recognized in their day for their work, but we have forgotten it. I want to close with this image of Private Robert Riley, Company B of the 7th Regiment USCT. Note the way he's positioned in this photograph. He's square to the camera. His chin is up. He's looking directly into the camera. He is not turned to the side. He is not staring down. This is a proud man, a veteran who served his country well. He wears the medal that he earned during his service on his chest. He was enslaved on the Wye River. He got scars from a whiplash, lashes of the whip he received. He was at Fort Gilmer, but he was not in Company C or D. He's in Company B. That is one of the reasons why he survives. He's buried about a half mile from where we sit right now in Chesterfield Cemetery. It's time to honor these veterans, honor our hometown heroes. The monument on the left is in Chestertown. Kent County has recognized their USCT. Frederick Douglass on the right in front of the courthouse in Talbot County in Easton. And I take the rest of my time and turn it over to Mr. Tillman Hensley to tell us a little bit about what he's got in mind for a monument to these veterans.
Well, I was approached by the veterans, and they wanted a monument, veterans honoring veterans, which I thought was a very worthy thing to do. So they wanted me to come up with a sketch, and I came up with this sketch. Now, this is very preliminary. This, isn't historically accurate. It's just showing about how a piece of granite would have the engravings and whatnot, and then the bronze would be of the one soldier. This may or may not be the last design. This is just the preliminary. This was a week ago. So I came up with this design by the courthouse on the little promenade where it has the POW honoring, the people in the different wars. So this would be basically set in that same promenade, very intimately though, not too large, but very worthy-like. If you want to pass that up. And then this piece here is like how it might be lit at nighttime from the road, just lit from the POW piece, the backlighting. And this is just a detail. This isn't any representative of anybody. This is just a little bit of a detail of one of the faces that might be on that particular piece.
Where's this?
Where is that?
Yeah.
It's right here, right across the street.
Got it.
Right in that little
Yep.
promenade.
You see it. It's beautiful.
But it'd be done intimately. So because of the courthouse, leans itself to not a really large sculpture, not a small sculpture, but just one that fits into the place. And I went all the way around the grounds, and I felt that particular spot was the best for that piece. It's very visible, very protected. And as far as the sculpting part, I think we could do it in 2 years and have it for the 250th anniversary. Be a very honored thing to have for that particular time period. And I think that inscription that he had on the piece from Abraham Lincoln would be prominent as the first piece of it, and then it would have the whole story of the veterans.
You mean the granite at the bottom?
Granted at the bottom. Yeah, it would have the inscription from Abraham Lincoln on it, and then it would have the whole story of the soldiers.
Maybe on the other side, you could have that.
You could have it on 4 sides.
Right.
Ideally, it'd be better on 2 sides, but if you enlarge the circle a little bit, like had another ring come out of it and have him in there, you could do it on all 4 sides. I just don't think, way it is right now, it would probably only lean itself to 2 sides, because you wouldn't want people to walk across the grass and whatnot.
How big would it be if you were to etch every soldier's name who lost their life on it?
Oh, I'm sure that they would be able to be on the 3-foot granite. The piece would be about 3 foot, and the bronze would be about approximately 6.5 to 7 foot tall. So you're looking at a 9-foot.
That's 8 foot, guessing?
What?
The one on the left?
You're talking about Frederick Douglass?
No, on the left. The
That
obelisk.
monument,
No, I don't have an idea how tall
that's
that
about
is.
6 foot.
But I'm gonna say about where your molding is, to the top there where the cameras are, it'll be about that tall, maybe a little taller. But a 3-foot granite with a 6.5 foot to 7 foot bronze.
Right?
It's a simple piece, to do. And I think in the end, it'll be extremely worthwhile for everybody, even the town.
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess we'd have to run that through the courthouse committee and everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's going to it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but I appreciate the presentation.
Absolutely.
And the thoughts there. So you figure it'd take about 2 years to do this?
I'd up the scale. Usually pieces take about 3 years, they just do. But I think we could do it in 2.
Okay.
Just to have it for that. But we have to sort of jump on it.
Right. That's it, yeah, as
And I don't think that's going to be a
wanna make
problem with
250.
that.
Right.
I think the veterans really want it, and they approached me, and I'm all in for whatever they need, so.
We commend you on
Yeah.
a great project. Well worth it. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
So would we have permission then to install it on the courthouse?
That's what they're going to do. They're going to look that up with the courthouse, right?
Yeah, right,
You
committee.
can find out for us.
Are you talking about with where it's going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go through the committee and see what their thoughts
Okay.
on it. There's,
And if you need these aids, do you have brochures for them too, so they can contact me? And if they need these aids on the lawn unit, we'll give them to you to
Right.
take.
we just, like I said, we're going to go through the process like we do with all the other
Absolutely.
monuments and awards, so.
We support it. If I may be selfish, my son, Jacob, did his Eagle project was,
In Graysonville?
we've spoken, right?
I don't believe so.
Maybe a couple years ago.
Okay, possibly.
He did what you did. He researched all the men who lost their lives in Queen Anne's County, starting from the Revolution to Iraq.
Okay.
And they're memorialized at the VFW on a placard.
Yeah.
But you have found a lot more than he was able to find. And he went to the National Archives in Silver Spring, is
Yeah.
it? The National, in Silver Spring, and the libraries, and, I mean, he found a lot, but you've really been
It is
able
an
to.
unending task to try and come up with all of these individuals, all
Yes.
these veterans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well worth
Commend you.
pursuing.
I'm just surprised that long ago, there was that many people that lived here. Really, I mean, you think about how many people went and served, there would be, normally that's 5% of your population.
Yeah.
So that was a large
Population
amount.
of Queen Anne's County at the Revolution was about 16,000. The population of Queen Anne's County in 1960 was about 16,000.
Right.
Something happened in the mid-50s that caused a population spike over time. Yeah. There's the Bay Bridge.
It's called a bridge.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
If anybody wants a full version of this report, I'm happy to give it to you or to any group that you want me to, the courthouse group.
Yeah, we'd like to have that, if you could send that
Yeah,
to us,
if you got
please.
the full version, absolutely.
Be great.
Thank you. If the Veterans Group can do anything to help move us along, please know.
Right. Thank you.
Please reach out. Well done.
Right. All right, Commissioners, moving on, we have our second presentation this evening, also tab number 6, item 2 on pages 16 through 33. We have Dr. Coppersmith, President of Chesapeake College, along with Karen Smith, Vice President of Administrative Services, and Dave Harper, Vice President of the Workforce and Academic Programs at Chesapeake College. So, folks, good to see you all.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Cheers. It's really good to be here with our host county,
Yeah.
where we reside as a college. My name, as indicated, is Cliff Coppersmith. I'm the president of Chesapeake. We have a very brief presentation for you tonight. We have two purposes. One is to update you on our revised proposal for the Queen Anne's Tech construction project, and the second is to request a letter of intent from the county that assures the state of county support for this project in terms of the local match. Just a little bit of history. We actually had a proposal last year that we took to the state, which was not funded. That was a larger project, and in the last year, we've had revisions that we've worked very closely with the Department of Management and Budget, with the Department of General Services, and then MHEC, the Maryland Higher Education Commission. And that has resulted in a slightly adjusted project. It's smaller and less expensive. One of the things that we've taken out of the original proposal is the locating of the Marine program in the new building, because it does not have the formula required enrollment projections to justify the space that it would occupy in that new building. So what will happen with Marine, which is getting students, is enrolling, it's just not there where the state would want it in terms of justifying the space that would be required. And so that will remain in the MTC where it currently is located, and with welding actually part of the new building, then we would have space for that program to expand, and then at some point down the road, we probably would be coming back to the counties for phase 2 of the new building, which would eventually house the Marine program. When that would happen, I have no idea. At this point, the projections are not showing enough space utilization that would justify it in the short term, but eventually that would probably happen. I'm joined today by Dr. Harper, who is very intimately involved with the curriculum that we've developed that is currently housed in our current facilities, and which will move to the new program facility. And then on my right is Karen Smith, who will provide the information about the details of the funding piece, the space that we're looking at, and the programs that will be housed. Dave is going to address the specifics of how we've gotten to this point with our curriculum and our programs and workforce development. So I think Karen's going to start us out, and then we're going to go to David, and then I'll finish up with any questions. Karen, please. Oh, Dave's going to start. I'm sorry. Dave's going to start.
Thank you, Dr. Coppersmith. Thank you, commissioners, for your time. Appreciate it. As Dr. Coppersmith said, this is a slightly smaller project. Our goal is to be good stewards of resources, and toward that end, the programs in it are the programs we've heard from our community that we need to expand, just because there's more demand than we're graduating students. And so that's why you see the skilled trades footprint for construction trades, for HVAC, for welding, and et cetera. And in doing that, we have worked really closely with our program advisory councils, local business and industry leaders, in addition to local government, to make sure it's the right mix. And the purpose is to expand capacity. We work really closely with our LEAs, K-12s in our 5 counties, and doing this already with Queen Anne's County, where we can supplement some welding instruction, for example. But throughout the 5 counties, we want to be able to add capacity, and we want to be able to complement what they do. So we want this to be an added value. Another way it kind of improves our resources. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, okay. I think I've got pictures, but we can do that at the end. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah.
So I wanted to go over the details of the project with you. Originally, the program statement for the building we brought forward last year was gross square footage of 89,805 square foot. This project now in phase one is 63,000 square foot of gross square footage. The box in the bottom here shows the approved programs that the state has already approved to be in this phase one project, which is agriculture, electrical, welding and fabrication, and those are actually in fixed spaces. And we'll show you some examples of flexible space, which would be the other part of the building, which that would be HVAC, advanced manufacturing, construction trades, carpentry and masonry, and then we would still have our Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, student resources, lounge, vending, that type of items in there. So all of those programs are approved to be in this phase one, and then 3 of the programs have, we have documented projected growth in those programs, the welding, the advanced manufacturing, and construction trades. So that is how we come up to the 36,324 net assignable square feet. The next page goes over the financials of the budget. Originally, the request we brought to Queen Anne's County was for a share, which is 25% of the, 28.9% of the 25% local share. And it was $5.7 million for Queen Anne's County. Now the request is down to $4,077,662, which is a difference of $1,636,717. We are lucky with our projects. This state pays 75% of the project if it's approved for funding under the capital program, and the 5 counties make up the 25% local share. And that breaks down, the state funding is a total of $42,328,000, and the local funding is $14,109,560. And the bottom of this sheet just shows the project would run, design would happen in fiscal year 26 if the state approves it. Also, the construction funding would be in 27, and furniture and equipment would be in fiscal year 28. So for Queen Anne's County, again, the total over the 3 phases of the project would be $4,077,662. And Dave's going to just kind of highlight the types of spaces we're thinking about and that the state is really on board with for the flexible part of this building. And I'll just flip through them as you talk a little bit.
Sure. Just a couple things. Even though this is smaller than the original plan, this phase one is still 3 times bigger than the space it would replace. So it's a whole paradigm shift forward for us. It's much bigger. And one of the things we learned, we went to Pennsylvania to Penn College of Technology, which is cutting edge national lead for this kind of instruction. And the president told us that in 10 years of building these kinds of structures, what he's learned is build the thickest concrete pad you can, a big box for flexible spaces and different use so you can be responsive to industry needs and programs the college would need to offer, and we can be very flexible with our non-credit curriculum and trades curriculum in particular, and to just put as much electrical power in there as you can. So concrete floor, electrical power, and flexible open interior. And so that's what we're thinking about that we would talk to, and just to be, again, good stewards. The other thing that I think is really important for a project like this, you see, is these are beautiful, clean places in which to learn. And we see this already with our health professions on campus, which is an industry we support extensively. I mean, bottom line is we want students and parents to be excited to see this. We want them to know when they walk through a structure like this, the kinds of high-tech jobs that trades jobs are now, and to just catch a vision for what's possible, that their students, that the students themselves, the children in the parents' case, can have a bright future right here without having to go west. This project to be a part of building that narrative on the shore.
So, Mr. President, at this point, this is our 4th presentation of this type. Anna spoke in public, but their letter of intent at a 2-to-1 vote. Kind of a continuing story, but we still have very strong support there. Kent will be voting next week on the 20th, and and that leaves us with this evening. We'll be presenting Dorchester, which is very strong now because of the many challenges they have in Dorchester. But I did promise Dorchester County that I would know where they stood and why, which are numerous. We're aware of them. But we have, Larry did a really great job of kind of reminding their commissioners that by statute, the 3-5 vote wins the day. And we are relatively optimistic that we will have that within the next couple of weeks. We would prefer to have more than that, but I think broadly we do have a majority consensus across the region that this project should be built. And I'm very happy to report it's the #2 priority project on the MAC list, and we anticipate that if the counties eventually do approve this project, that it will be funded by the state in the next fiscal year. I'm more than happy to take any questions.
I don't have any questions.
The 25% that's on the counties, we get it.
You need a,
Is there
It's a motion.
possibility of offsetting some of that with grant money from various different grants that are out there?
Well, I think
It's a lot of work, but
the way this works, and I'll have Karen confirm this, is that the understanding is that counties bear 25% of that cost as it's currently laid down in the proposal. Where we would be coming in with additional funding would be for the things not covered by either state or county funding, which is including lab equipment. We have quite a bit of equipment that will just transition from where it currently is to for example, our welding equipment will be reaching end of life by the time this building's completed. So we'll be running a campaign to raise at least several $1 million that will offset the cost of new equipment and probably raising scholarships as well from the workforce programs that these students will be pursuing in this facility. That's generally what we do with a campaign that will be run by our foundation.
And to answer your question, Patrick, you typically can't stack grants on top for matching funds. You can't take a grant from somewhere and use it as your matching fund to, in this case, for the money coming from the state. So, but you can do it for all the other stuff. Yeah, so I'll make the motion gladly. I'd like to make the motion to sign a letter of intent to move forward and present to the state for getting this thing going.
Second.
any further discussion? As always, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
County Fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
actually you won.
He stole my round table.
You what?
He stole my round table. Oh, well.
Okay, next up, Commissioners, we have Character Counts Spotlight. We have Miss Melinda Ray. She'll be presenting the Character Counts Spotlight this evening. The month of August is for respect, and she has Mr. Robert Woolley, who opened
Right
the
there in front
Edge
of you.
Training Academy. So, Melinda?
Patrick.
Hello, gentlemen.
All right.
Hello. I think it's sitting in front of
Apologize
you,
for the
Jim.
casualness. Of course, I'm going to the fair.
Oh.
As soon as I leave here. So it is August. That means it's the month of respect, and you guys have the spotlight, and we have our recipients here represented. You get to read this week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Share the wealth.
He just found out.
Love it.
They make no surprises, I'll tell you. All right, in August, Character Counts celebrates the pillar of respect in all its forms. Respect for self, respect for others, respect for community. Our honoree this month exemplifies respect and actively promotes this pillar in Queen Anne's County. In 2013, Kent Island resident Robert Woolley opened the Edge Training Academy with the goal of helping student athletes respect themselves by creating an environment that would foster their personal and athletic growth, helping them create opportunities for themselves past the high school playing level. He soon realized that it wasn't just student athletes lacking resources, opportunity, it was the commissioners. And support to meet their personal growth needs, and expanded the location to hold a full gym open to all. In 2016, they expanded and opened the Edge Arena, a 25,000 square foot building on Kent Island that hosts a variety of events, including youth and adult leagues, tournaments, teams, practices, open plays, fitness classes where teamwork and respect for others is encouraged. The facility also hosts birthday parties, proms, church services, community gatherings, and much more. But that wasn't enough. Behind the scenes, their nonprofit arm, Giving the Edge Foundation, shows respect for the community and ensures their connection to the county they love, Queen Anne's County. With a commitment to empowering the next generation of our community, Giving the Edge Foundation promotes character development by hosting community activities, funding positive behavior incentives in local schools, offering financial support for EDGE programming, and much, much more. The EDGE, in all aspects, believes that showing respect and providing people opportunities and support encourages them to become successful, caring, responsible, and productive citizens who will understand the importance of giving back and helping others. You can learn more and find out how to support the EDGE by visiting the Character Count website at www.peopleofcharacter.org, www.peopleofcharacter.org. The EDGE is in the business park on Count Island. What is the address?
112 Log Canoe Circle and 325 Log Canoe Circle.
And you want to share your phone number?
My personal phone?
The EDGE's phone number.
443-249-3133.
Yeah. Character Counts would love to hear from you about who we should recognize in future spotlights. If you are aware of a business, nonprofit, or individual in the county exemplifying one or all of the 6 pillars of character, be sure to nominate them. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I want to add, we received several nominations for the EDGE and all of their subsidiaries that they have going on. And anybody who is associated with Queen Anne's County Public Schools or Character Counts knows the important contributions that they make to this county and how much they love this county. Even Colleen here sits on our advisory board of Character Counts as well. So we have partnered with them for quite a while, and they are just a true blessing to this county. So.
Absolutely. Yes, they are.
You guys want to pitch anything else while you're here?
Pitch anything else?
Yeah, any upcoming events, anything, you know?
Bobby loves it, though. He
Yeah, he's usually shy, right?
I'm saying, I can't believe you're getting up and walking away.
I was going to say, I was a little...
Got babies in the room.
That's all good.
Divide and conquer there tonight.
Charlie, got anything to say?
She's like ready to go.
We've always got things going on. Talk about the foundation first because that kind of...
I'm happy to talk about the foundation. As you guys know, towards the end of the school year, we support all the field days at the school. So we were at 10 schools, 10 elementary and middle schools in the county. And as you know, there's actually, there's only 12 of those. So next year, we have been asked by all the elementary middle schools in the county to help serve their field day in some capacity. So we have a lot towards the end of the school year. And right now, as school is gearing up, we help support a lot of the PBIS programs, the positive behavior programs, and a lot of schools are calling us. So we've got a lot of meetings coming up. So we've got that happening. Yeah, we've just got a lot that's about to kick off this school year. And the big thing, our need continues to grow. So many of the community members keep reaching out. And something actually I would like to add is this Friday, we are starting a new program. It's called our Monthly Acts of Kindness. So this month we're gonna kick off, we're gonna make friendship bracelets. So kids can come make friendship bracelets for their friends, their teachers, anybody. And so each month we're gonna try to partner with another organization to just do something kind in our community.
Awesome.
Coming up in October, we have our clay shoot, second annual clay shoot tournament, which will be held out at Pintail. We can certainly forward on information there. It's kind of one of 2 events that we have each year just to kind of help kickstart the funding in the right direction. So that's a big deal. And then I think the news on the street is we were put in the chair position to take over the Partnering for Youth program for this upcoming school year. So we'll be the administrative backbone for the 4 middle schools so that they have all of their competitive sports programs and clubs after school. And then the Kennard Elementary School and Mattapique Elementary School. We'll serve both of those schools as well. So we're super excited to be able to make sure that that is a continuation for the kids, trying to make it into a position where it's a sustainable model that year over year we can, whether it's us taking the reins or someone else, it's in a really good position to at least hold that spot in the after school time period for kids to have something constructive to do.
Appreciate everything
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You guys do a
Thank you,
great job.
guys.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, that is all of the presentations for this evening. We can turn to legislation. Next, tab number 7, we have a couple of items. So if you get in, under tab 7, item number 1, pages 1 through 2, that's County Ordinance 2412, the water softener backwash. This ordinance was for the purpose of prohibiting discharge of water softener brine into our septic tank effluent pumping systems on South Kent Island, and providing for monetary fees for violations for that activity. So this, we had a public hearing, no public comment whatsoever has been submitted up until this point, so it is ready for adoption if you so choose.
Motion to adopt County Ordinance 24-12.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4 with 1 absent.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 2 is actually 2 items on pages 3 through 13 is proposed County Ordinance 24-13 for indoor shooting ranges, and County Ordinance 2414 for farm employee dwelling impact fees. So basically, these ordinances are County Commissioner-sponsored text amendments. 2413 provides for the inclusion of indoor shooting ranges as a permitted use in certain zoning districts, and Ordinance 2414 provides for additional exemptions of development impact fees for farm employee dwellings only within conservation easement lands. And that's kind of a housekeeping item.
Correct, yeah, we have it for one side, but not the other.
That's correct.
Yep.
So these, we would suggest that you refer these to the Planning Commission for investigation and a recommendation back to the County Commissioners.
I move to convey County Ordinance 24-13 to the Planning Commission for investigation and recommendations. I also move to convey County Ordinance 24-14 to the Planning Commission for investigation and recommendation.
Second and second.
We have a motion, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? And absent. There we go.
Thank you, Commissioners. Lastly, we have our action items for this evening, so if you want to turn to tab number 3, we've got a dozen action items this evening. So tab 3, item 1, page 1, is Proclamation 24-28, Month of the Farmer.
Proclamation 2428. Queen Anne's County has a long heritage and tradition of farming industries which sustain the economy and lend unique character to our community. And whereas generations of county citizens have dedicated their lives and made their livelihood from harvesting grains and produce from the soils of Queen Anne's County and raising livestock on the lands of the county. And whereas the legacy of the farmer is an integral part of the history and lore of our county. And whereas certain individuals and families have spent many years of their lives continuing this legacy. And whereas it's important to recognize the significant role of these noteworthy farmers and to preserve and perpetuate the great tradition of their work. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby proclaim the month of August 2024, which just happens to be Fair Month as well, the month of the farmer in Queen Anne's County.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Wilson. All right, item number 2 on page 2 is Proclamation 24-33. This is for the Bay Times Record Observer 200th anniversary.
All right. This is a Proclamation 24-33. Whereas the Bay Times Record Observer celebrates its 200th anniversary, commemorating its distinguished efforts as a community partner for 2 centuries. And whereas established in 1824, the Bay Times Record Observer has been a steadfast companion to generation of readers, providing a platform for the diverse voices of our community in Queen Anne's County. And whereas the Bay Times Record Observer has, through times of change and uncertainty, maintained its commitment to journalistic excellence, adapting to the evolving media landscape while preserving the core values that have earned it the trust and respect of its readership. And whereas the Bay Times Record Observer remains dedicated to continuing its service to Queen Anne's County with many more years of insightful reporting, community engagement, and journalistic excellence. And therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, hereby recognize and celebrate that the Bay Times Record Observer, for its long-standing diligence in the community, reporting, and commend this publication for its dedicated service and exemplary achievement, which has significantly contributed to this county. Signed by all of the county commissioners.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, we have a lot of people that have moved to Queen Anne's County over the years. And you might have not known, but the Bay Times now, it's about this thick, right? Because readership has gone down and they don't have the ads in there. So if you've moved to Queen Anne's County Time recently, last 20 years, subscribe to the Bay Times, because if you don't, we're not going to have a local paper anymore. And there really is a lot of good information if you live here. And so if you don't want to see local journalism go away, you have to support it. It's not very expensive. It's probably $80 a year or something like that. But if everybody in Queen Anne's County had subscribed to the Bay Times, we would have a much thicker paper with a lot of good information in it. So,
Thank you.
There you go.
Just want your picture in it.
I'm not plugging for them, but it's important. I think local news is important and better than social media.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, thank you, Commissioner Corcorino. Okay, item number 3 on pages 3 through 5 has been withdrawn by the superintendent of schools. So we'll go to item number 4 on pages 6 through 7. This is the FY25 budget certification for the Board of Education. And as this is an annual item that to be eligible for the state share of the major state aid programs, county government must provide the required minimum maintenance of effort contribution for their annual budget. Every year, the State Department of Education sends this form directly to the county governing body that provide and designate the amount of revenue that meets or exceeds the calculated MOE. And for FY25, the county commissioners allocated $7 million above the minimum required funding level based on student enrollment calculations. So it is here for your signature.
Can I make the motion and amend it that the state gives us all the money they were supposed to, or not? Is that an option?
We can ask, yeah. We should ask.
Yeah. I move to execute the Board of Education FY 2025 annual budget certification statement.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Tons, but there's not enough time.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One absent.
All right, thank you, commissioners. Thank you for being here, Superintendent. Item number 5 on pages 8 through 16 is an update on the US 301 traffic counters. And, the increased daily traffic volumes on US 301 continues to be a topic of interest. Several incidents recently have been inquired about, since the opening of the Middletown bypass in 2019. And, of course, the Key Bridge collapse has an impact on our traffic. So this is some information that our public facilities planner, Steve Cahoon, put together. So he's available. If you have a few minutes, he can do a quick update on that. So, Steve?
Absolutely. Wait for him for like 6 months.
Where
you been? I said, where you been?
I can be back anytime.
All right. So
how bad is it?
We have our scheduled meeting with MDOT's secretary and his team on Friday, this coming Friday at Mako. So this is very timely. We'll have the priority letter as well for that discussion as well with Secretary Wiedefeld. So, Steve, take it away.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion during this year's priority letter about US 301 and about the increase in traffic, and we were trying to determine how much that increase has actually occurred. And the county started counting traffic on 301 in 2018. And so we've been collecting data, and we actually located a counter up in Kent County specifically to pick up the impacts of the Middletown bypass opening and seeing how much traffic would be coming down 301. So we went back and took a look at the 2018 counts before the bypass opened on 301 at 313 Galena Road in Kent County, and looked at what the traffic volumes were in 2023. And we had COVID in the middle of that, so the traffic patterns during COVID were all over the place. But in general, we've seen about a 31% increase in traffic on US 301 since the opening of the Middletown bypass. And anybody you talk to in the community says they notice more traffic on that road, and they do.
So you're saying 31%? When the census was done, what was the increase in population in Queen Anne's County? Was it 2% or 4%? What was it?
1,800.
No, it wasn't much.
It's only 1,800 people, so
it was
wasn't
very
big.
low. It was surprisingly low.
States at like 8.
So I guess
9%
pretty
were
sure we can assume that this isn't Queen Anne's County traffic.
Now, this,
How about a 31% increase?
There you go.
so by having the traffic counter at this location, it was specifically put there to pick up through traffic. If you're traveling that section of the highway, you're coming down the highway going, to a destination. So what does that mean? That means on any given day, or on average, we're seeing anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 more cars on US 301. So when people say it's a noticeable increase, it is. That is the case. I graphed that, did a graph to show the difference between the 2 years, 2018 and 2023. And then during the priority letter conversation, the question of has the Key Bridge impacted traffic on 301? Are people intentionally using 301 to try to avoid the congestion in Baltimore and try to avoid I-95? So what we did, we compared traffic in 2023 and 2024, March, April, May, June, and July. And the traffic has increased on the corridor since the Key Bridge has collapsed and since that terrible accident. The percent of truck traffic hasn't gone up significantly.
Really?
It's staying pretty level at about 19 to 20% of the volume coming down the road is truck traffic. But that's a very high number. When 20% of your truck traffic or 20% of your traffic on a highway is truck traffic, that's a freight corridor. Other locations on 50 or up closer to the bridge, we'll see 10 or 12%, just to give you an idea. But because the traffic volumes are increasing, even though the percentage isn't, this number of trucks we're seeing is increasing.
Right.
So, it just goes up with the increase in volumes. So even though percentage of trucks may remain the same, we may see a couple hundred trucks a day. In July.
And more hazmat.
Yeah, yes, as an alternative route. And we know, if people are traveling from north down below Baltimore to Washington, and they put it in the apps that 301 is a viable option to I-95. And if I-95 is congested, you can very well be routed down 301.
Without a toll.
Without a toll. So,
Steve, were you able to get any information to correlate over on these increases with our accidents along the corridor?
I have not, but I can.
I'm just curious. I mean, see if. Well, I know I've seen the increase. It's just I'm just curious how the whole corridor has been affected in terms of.
Not within the whole corridor, but we do know that the 301 and 405 intersection, there was a lot of discussion about that with our priority letter, and asking
that number was ridiculous
to specifically look at that. And they, State Highway reported that there was 76 crashes between January 2019 when the Middletown bypass opened and December of 2023. So that's more than one a month. It's a hot spot for crashes, and that increase in crashes does go along with the increase in traffic volume. But other places in the corridor I've not looked at, but I'm happy to go.
Just curious, because I know there's a lot of talk about the other intersections taking on that, but I have the active 911, and I haven't seen an uptick at 19 or the rest of it in terms of accidents. 405 was it averages out to one a week, or one a week or whatever. But I think in the last year and a half. It's probably been closer to 2 to 3 a week.
So State Highway recognized that. Part of what they're doing is watching those intersections you just mentioned, watching the rest stop, watching the intersection of 301 and 19, seeing how traffic is moving while they're trying to make a final decision on what to do with 405.
So I told Todd today, so I went up to 19 today, and they've got to do something immediately there, because you literally can, you can only put 4 cars in that left turn lane. So you have cars sitting out in the fast lane, northbound 301, that's only a matter of time before somebody gets completely demolished there by somebody not paying attention. But I sent a letter off to Ken Fender about it, but, I mean, they really just look at putting a light there, in my mind. It's like I was talking to Jim earlier, it gives us a metering point coming southbound for the bridge to hold up traffic. It creates a safe crossing there for everybody, and it slows traffic down. Because I'm telling you, the other part of that traffic, even though it's an uptick, I haven't seen speeds, I mean, consistent speeds. It's 80, 85.
Yeah.
And you're trying to pull out, you're taking your life in your hands. And, I just feel like it'll also give you a break from the 19405 on at the rest stop. Because the rest stop's another fairly dangerous area because you have all the tractor trailers coming out of there at very low speeds, and they're trying to get up to speed. Well, they don't have any, merge lanes there. So I think if they look at some of that stuff, because that's all, to me, that's low-hanging fruit, and that's not going to break the bank at the state. I mean, traffic lights aren't that expensive to put up. And again, it could be a temporary thing through this course of this 405 closure, and maybe it solves a lot of problems. Because my concern's always been, as the commissioners up and down this corridor, is our emergency services respond to all those. Whether you're from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I don't care where you come from, it taxes our local emergency services. And I hate to sound selfish, but then it takes them out of commission for some of our local residents at times. And,
Definitely.
If we can avoid that situation by making just a few changes, to me, it's worth it. And I think all the commissioners would agree that, little tweaks like that to help our citizens are well worth the effort.
But it was a big step by SHA to do this closure and to take a look at these other intersections, and they do have consultants on board. They are tracking the traffic patterns, and we hope to hear a report back soon, and we'll report back to the board.
To the commissioner's point, he hit upon something that we're not really thinking about, but he just said it. The exits and the merge are short. They're doing 65, 70 miles an hour. So if they could double them and even widen them by 2 or 3 or 4 feet, it's not very expensive. We got the land. It would dramatically improve the situation so that, to his point, the trucks pull out and they're doing 7 miles an hour. If they had that extra merge to go another few hundred yards, and so that's merging, but also as you're coming off onto the exit, same thing. Why are they so short? Sportsman's Neck Road, Bloomingfield, Carmichael, Scotttown, they're all, 100 feet or 200 feet. They're just not long enough. And that wouldn't be an expensive.
Most of them have shoulders now that they could probably incorporate into some of that.
It's just restriping.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of it is just a matter of restriping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just double it.
And the sooner you can get the cars off the road and out of that mainstream of traffic, the more helpful it is.
Yeah, because the tractor trailer, I see it all the time at the rest stop. They get impatient. I mean, they're sitting there for, with the traffic, they can't get out, and then they just finally say, "I'm going," and they just pull out.
Yeah.
They just had a bad one there 3 weeks ago, where that was the MO. So.
Yeah, and you also have a very long stretch with no stops. People are getting a zone of driving at a high rate of speed down that. And,
So my daughter went to school in Chestertown, and prior to her driving, I'd have to drive her, or my wife would drive her. And to his point, we just didn't want to take 405 anymore. So we started a year ago making the left at the truck stop or the visitor center. So now I got to get in the left lane, and I'm doing 80 miles an hour because the guy behind me is doing 90. And I got my blinker on, and I'm like, who's this grandpa in the road, And it's because the exit was so short. you know, I didn't want to dive bomb into it, so I get in the left lane, put my blinker on, and you can't get around me because you see the point.
Absolutely, no, we can.
Just lengthen them. Lengthen the exit and the merge, and it would be a big help.
We'll get in touch with State Highway and start those conversations.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Don't
also.
make it so long in between visits either.
Okay. Also in here is a copy of the priority letter, and then you did receive a response from Secretary Wiedefeld, MDOT Secretary, on the priority letter with reaching out, wanting to cooperate, wanting to work together on making some improvements. So we can certainly bring up the 301 suggestions to them in that same effort. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and Steve will be joining us on Friday for the meeting with the secretary and his team, so.
They never want to hear about traffic lights. That's like the last thing they ever want to hear about.
You'll be there,
Traffic lights.
you'll be there for them telling us they won't do anything? Appreciate that, Steve.
I'd love to help you, but we can't.
You're the Eastern Shore. We're gonna help you.
Okay, thank you, Steve. All right, item 6, Commissioners, is this is an amended perpetual protective agreement deed, forest conservation easement for the Zachary Marzak amended forest conservation plan. And the owner is requesting approval to relocate portions of this protected forest area to establish an unencumbered septic reserve area for his residential dwelling. And his proposal seeks to shift 1.619 acres of protected area on the western boundary line towards the southern property line. And our planning and zoning staff does recommend approval of this request.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that my cue? Oh. That's your cue. I move to execute the amended perpetual protective agreement deed of forest conservation easement with Zachary Majarek amended forest protection plan.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So,
All right, thank you, Commissioners. The next 4 items we have are for the Parks and Recreation Department. Item number 7 is on pages 25 through 28 is the Route 18 Park Ball Field and Security Lights retrofit, where we're recommending to contract with Musco to retrofit the ball field lights and add security lights at Route 18 Park in the amount of $6,214 using the pre-established Keystone Purchasing Network agreement. And we have funding available in the Athletic Field Work Capital Project account.
Hey, Patrick, that's your district.
This one? Yep. I move to authorize the Department of Parks and Rec to contract Musco to retrofit the ball field lights and add security lights at Route 18 Park in the amount of $206,214. Sorry.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this topic? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item 8 is Round Top Park Court lighting. This is on page 29 through 33. This is a recommendation to contract again with Musco to add court lighting to Round Top Park in the amount of $107,478, also using the Keystone Purchasing Network agreement.
I move to authorize the Department of Parks and Rec to contract Musco to install court lighting at Round Top Park in the amount of $107,478.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this topic. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Do we get a warranty on these? The lights go out within a year, they're gonna replace them at their cost?
They do, and the poles have a 25-year warranty on there. And we have at one time, prior to my arrival, did have to replace a pole, so.
And they have good response times?
They're awesome.
So you text him and he comes right over and replaces the light bulb?
Pretty much.
Really?
They're really great to us. They've got
Musco's,
great customer service.
They got a great
around.
reputation.
Yep.
All right, any other questions? All right, Commissioners, moving on. Item number 9 on pages 34 through 37. Parks and Recreation, again, is recommending contact with ATC Corporation to refurbish the tennis courts at Old Love Point Park. Total cost is $239,940, which includes paving, fencing, color coding, and striping of all the courts. And they are using the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance Agreement contract, which is another pre-established government contract, and we have funding available for that in the court work capital account.
I move to authorize the Department of Parks and Recreation to contract ATC Corp. to refurbish tennis courts at Old Love Point Park in the amount of $239,940.
Second. We have a motion and a second on this item. Any discussion?
They're responsive to ATC.
When's the last time this court was done? Do you know? More than 15 years?
I think because it would have to be, it's more than 15 years.
Yeah.
It's probably 12 to 15 years. In prior years, we had used POS funds for that, but because it hasn't been 20 years, you can't go back to the well until you reach the 20-year.
These are 2 courts, right?
There's actually 3 tennis courts.
They're going to do 3 of them?
Yep.
Okay,
And
good.
2 years ago, you guys approved getting lighting there.
Right.
We've got some
Push the button.
significant cracks that are running through the court, so you need to make them playable. The fence is rusty and, all beat up, so it's time for it to
And the
get some
pickleballers
TLC.
haven't gotten to you.
They have.
It's risky here.
They did, but I reminded them that part of the deal was, if we took the tennis courts away from Mowbray,
Right,
Old Love Point
Yeah.
would stay
Tennis
purely
courts.
as tennis.
right.
Obviously, they weren't too happy, but that's, that was our agreement, and, I'd like to stick with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, all those in favor on this item, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And lastly, we have item number 10 on pages 38 and 40 through 41. There are some photographs here you may want to refer to. This is for an artwork at White Marsh Park and Route 18 headquarters, Route 18 Park. This is the recommendation to purchase 2 pieces of steel artwork from Dale Rogers Studio for display. First piece is a large American dog, $4,600 for the display at White Marsh Dog Park. Second piece is for a family motif for $12,500 for display at the Route 18 Park. Or jazz it up a little bit.
I move to authorize Department of Parks and Rec to purchase 2 pieces of artwork from Dale Rogers Studio in the amount of $19,000. The artwork will be placed at White Marsh Dog Park and Route 18 headquarters.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Where's this guy out of? I like it.
I can't remember
Yeah,
where he's from.
I
I
like
met him up in Connecticut at
Yeah, he's not local.
no.
I keep thinking like Kentucky or Missouri or
How
somewhere.
long
I
is it
can't
going to
remember.
take?
It'll probably take every bit of 2 more months, 2.5 months. Hopefully, we can get it in by the end of October.
Going to cement it in so it doesn't get stolen?
So,
So since we have you here, what's the update on our
Rec Center.
rec center?
Yeah.
they're obviously still doing the feasibility study. Monday night for our PRAB meeting, we will have the contractor, Barry Dunn, do a virtual presentation to the PRAB board to kind of give us an update as far as where we are, timeline, making sure that we're still on that, and we still are on schedule for that. We're hoping to have everything kind of wrapped up, I'd say finalized by late November, December at the latest. And again, part of that timing is, once we figure out what that cost is, we want to make sure that we have enough time to submit it, for the capital budget, which is due in January. So we're really, honing in on that time frame to keep everything moving. We don't want to miss that deadline, because then all of a sudden now we'd miss, the cycle.
Not going to do that, so.
Yep, that's what I say.
And your skate park is a huge success. I have people call me that actually live in the area, and it says it does the heart wonders to see that many people out there in that skate park. So, kudos to
Yep.
the staff on that.
Very popular, yeah.
Every Sunday morning and every Saturday morning, I go by there before the traffic starts getting crazy. And, I mean, they got tents out there and everything else, so it's nice, so.
So I will tell you, as I come in about, 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, there's people out there skating. Before they go to work, they come out at lunchtime, and it's not just little kids. I mean,
Right.
it's
Oh, yeah.
like 30-year-olds
You've seen adults
that are
out
out
there,
there. But it's gotten a great response. So, I mean, knock on wood, we're continuing on the right.
So now we know he's coming to work late. 6:30 in the morning, he's not at work yet.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
didn't reckon,
I'm working because I'm supervising
that's
on the
very
project
good.
there.
I got one more phrase. So this past weekend was the 49th anniversary of the death of Trooper Mowbray, who Mowbray Park is named after. He was killed in line of duty on August 10th, 1975.
I didn't know that.
Responding to a robbery at Baker Liquor Store. And so I would like to see for next year, for August 10th, for the 50th, I think we should first reach out to his family to get their input on this, but what we have for the memorial for Trooper Mowbray, most people don't even see it. It's like a planter with a small plaque that over time, it's not what it should be. If the park's named after him, I think that's the 50th anniversary is a good time to have something new put in place, but I think we should reach out to his family first to find out. They may have a special attachment to what was there and not want it to be changed, so I want to make sure we consult with them. But if not, I think we should try to do something for that 50th anniversary on that.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you share inside information on the survey? Or you don't want to do that? For the rec center? Like the top 3, 5?
The survey just asked for what people were interested in. Obviously, one thing that's popular, because of the timing of the survey, it was hot as anything, we're going through a heat wave, was a pool or a splash pad. You know,
If you ask it again 4 months from now,
yeah,
it's going to be something different.
Timing is everything.
A pool or a what?
Splash pad.
What's that?
Splash pad.
Or splash pad, you know, gymnasium type, open area. You know, some people did want some courts. But again, you know, to me, the courts are part of that open gymnasium area. You know, most of the gymnasiums, you can make them multifunctional, just like you have an artificial turf. It's striped for, you know, 5 or 6 sports. You can do the same thing with the basketball court. You got volleyball, pickleball, you know, tennis, or not tennis, but basketball. So there's a way to meet all those needs, and those things were kind of lumped together. It's not anything that's really too surprising. So, I mean, I think we'll get a little more in-depth detail on Monday. And then again, when they present a draft to you guys or final report to you, we'll have more insight. But again, just kind of taking into consideration, you know, the time of year, I think that had a lot to do with what people were asking. And just kind of deviating a little bit, you know, we have a social media post we put out there, and we used a picture of Mowbray Park, and said, and it was just supposed to be just a generic park picture. So we asked people what they wanted, and there must have been, you know, if there was 30 responses, 25 of them had to be a splash pad, but it was right there dead center of July, because the comment
It was 110
it was
degrees
hot
out.
as you know what. So again, depending on what the picture is, the time of year, you know, all those things kind of, I think, sway people's decisions. So you kind of have to cobble all that stuff together and see what people are interested in. So
Cool.
they've been good to work with, and they should be providing us with some good information. Got my fingers crossed for that one too.
There you go. We'll see.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve. All right. Excuse me. All right, Commissioners, we have a few more items here. So next is item number 11. This is a cooperative agreement for enforcement of the minimum livability code with the town of Centerville. So the county has adopted a minimum livability code to apply within the territorial limits of Queen Anne's County. And this agreement between the town and the Department of Housing and Community Services will implement the code within the town limits of Centerville. We currently have agreements with Queenstown and Templeville. And this is another item we could discuss with the COG if other jurisdictions are interested in us helping with their minimum livability code standards.
I move to execute the cooperative agreement for the town of Centerville as recommended by the Department of Housing and Community Services.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item 12 on page 49 is a letter of support for District 3 Veterans Treatment Court. And this letter offers support for the establishment of a regional veterans treatment court in District 3, which includes Queen Anne's County, obviously. And these courts provide a transformative opportunity for veterans to address outstanding criminal offenses while accessing crucial treatment and supportive services.
I move to execute the letter of support for District 3 Veterans Treatment Court.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Had you heard of this before that guy reached out to us? About this court?
Have I heard it before the guy reached out?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I never.
I mean, Eric had told me something about it, briefly, but, I'm glad to see that, it's off the ground now and moving forward, so.
We did reach out to VAMSA and Eric Johnson, so they're going to work cooperatively on this going forward, so it's
It's a
a new
good thing,
initiative.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing, yeah. All right, our last item, Commissioners, is item number 13 on page 50. Just calling to your attention that we have 2 meetings scheduled in December, on December 10th and December 24th. So we would suggest or like you to consider either rescheduling the Christmas Eve meeting, or we could cancel it altogether, so your preference.
Chance to be Scrooge here, you know that, right? I'll cancel this thing. What do you think? He'll come dressed as Santa. What do you?
Well, yeah, I mean,
We're missing an
or we
opportunity.
could have the
Make it
meeting,
fun.
if you want to have a meeting on Christmas Eve at.
And it's a good time for all the directors to come in and tell us about what's going to go on the next year.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, if we don't have a meeting, then we don't have to worry about giving out anybody their gifts, so, it's
Right,
all
it's,
good.
you only give the bonuses out.
That's
for
right,
The
that's
second
right.
meeting of
You got it.
December, so.
I move to cancel December 24th County Commissioner meeting due to the Christmas holiday.
Second. Any discussion?
I voted against it.
Grinch.
I'm going on record against it.
No, Phil is. Phil is.
Grinch.
Oh, and by the way, Phil's on assignment. We don't know where, but he's on assignment. So, anyways, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. There you go. Aye.
Was that 3-1? 3-1?
It's 3-1-0.
3-1-0.
Jack's going to be here on the 24th.
Yes,
Okay.
he is.
All right, Commissioners, that is all of our action items this evening. Anything else for me?
No.
Okay.
Can we add what we were talking about with Steve, extending the exits and the merge?
Oh, sure, yeah, we'll be meeting with the Secretary on.
Writing before we give that to him.
Yeah, we can certainly ask that. That's a
We don't have any
perfect
questions.
forum.
No emails, nothing's outside.
Sure.
Would you like to speak?
Thank you.
You're already done. Okay, so we'll go right to round table.
Round table.
We'll start with number 4 first.
I got nothing.
Very
The thing for Trooper Mowbray I wanted to bring up,
Yeah.
sorry I got a chance to bring that up. Good.
Phil says nada. Patrick?
Sure.
Got it?
Just a, no.
Sure.
Sounded like you had something. Now you're holding back on
No,
it.
he's got something. He needs to say it.
I want to talk about the youth center.
Yes.
The crisis center in
talk
Kent
about it.
County, but there's just a lot of moving parts. We're just very grateful to.
Well, I think you should
don't you update the
say that
public?
one big part that's moving that, no small task that you
So,
did, so.
We're pass.
Okay, I'll take care of it for you.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it. I'll take care
Or
of it.
you could do it next time.
I'm just going to say go
Do
to
it
the
next
fair
time.
because I still want to figure out how that's all going to end up over there, so I'm going to let you go next.
Over where?
I said go to the fair, that's all. You got, oh, wait, go to the fair, go to the fair. Go to the fair.
That's right.
No, but I want to commend Patrick and Congressman Harris for securing, right now, $5.5 million?
5 1/4.
5 1/4, excuse me, 5 1/4. There's strings attached, and you got to go through the process, but it's a huge jump to get us moving forward on the Youth Crisis Center. So, thank you, Patrick. That's great work, and that's what we're here for, to make the lives better of the citizens. So, I appreciate that. And I'm not going to talk about traffic. I want to talk about let's go to the fair.
We already had a traffic report tonight. We didn't. need
That's
to-
true,
we
yeah.
didn't-
Steve took care of it.
Steve took
so
care of the traffic report.
I'm done with that. Yippee-ki-yay, so.
Well,
Motion
what I'd like to say is, it wouldn't happen without your leadership, Jim, and Chris's, and especially our county administrator, who's
Does
been-
he live in the county?
He does.
You live here?
I do.
And also,
It's down the street.
really, it was Dr. Ciatola's idea.
Right.
So I haven't seen him in a long time, but we miss you, Dr. C.
He'll be
Katie,
around.
just a shout out to Katie Dilly, Dr. Ciatola, William Webb, who's the Kent County Director of Health,
Health officer, yeah.
Ronnie Fithian, Shelley Heller, Daniel Hornberger and Cecil, and Jackie Gregory, and Travis Breeding, Mike Dittmer, and Chuck Callahan, and Dave Stepp, and Talbot. So it's really a team effort.
Sure.
And it's very exciting, and we've got a lot more coming on, and that we'll be sharing with the communities.
Unfortunately, you're learning that government doesn't move as fast as we'd like it to
Now,
move, so.
the first thing you told me
Yeah.
is
It's a slow.
don't expect things to happen quickly. It's more like a glacial.
Oh, yeah.
Glacial.
I like that.
It
I
moves.
don't know about that slow.
It moves at the speed of glacial.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That ice, yes indeed.
But lots more to come.
Good, very good. And then we'll all be in, at Mako,
Yeah,
so we'll see what we can,
tomorrow, right?
yeah. Well, I won't be there tomorrow, I'm staying behind to do the farm stuff, so I'll be there Thursday, but meetings Friday morning with the state, where we can plead our case without bloodshed. Okay, motion?
Motion.
Second.